Have you felt like you have had the weight of the world on your shoulders? That you have had so many things that you have had on your plate that it is at a point wherein it's getting stressful. You've been trying to build this momentum, these goals, that you are a high achiever and you have had some progress, but now you're feeling a little more tired. You're not feeling that energy. All of that has been hitting you all at once and you are feeling overwhelmed. But you're saying, okay, I hear you, girl. I am overwhelmed. But if I stop now, it seems like everything will fall apart. If I stop now, what is going to happen to my goals? If I stop now, what's going to happen to my family? If I stop now, what's going to happen to my dreams? So, what we're going to talk about today is how you can begin to start managing that so you won't have to feel so overwhelmed. You can really build that momentum and be able to walk with clarity, walk with confidence like never before. So, welcome to my channel of The Unmasked. My name is Michelle, where I help leaders like you to ditch burnout, manage that stress, and walk with a greater confidence like never before. So, welcome on today. And so, we're just going to go ahead and get into it. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can begin to start having this momentum so you cannot feel so overwhelmed and that you can continually walk your purpose out and not feel stressed all the time. So the first thing that we have to think about is addressing to go from the hustle mode to get into a place of rhythm. When you start thinking about those things, when you start thinking about society often tells us that we have to be in this hustle, that we have to have this calendar, that we need to have our calendar full of activities. We need to have our calendar full of getting this next degree, going to get this next certification. What is the thing that's next for you? You've already gotten it, so you got to go get this, you got to go get that. And it has this mode of continually going, but is not really truly achieving or being efficient. It's just going. But I want you to start thinking about, for you, what truly do you need to put energy to at the moment? Not saying that you cannot get to that place, but you need to be able to get into a rhythm of things. You think about people whenever they're dancing and they are dancing and they're in rhythm, they doing this rhythm. But then you have people that don't have rhythm. So they out there, they're trying to clap and it's not on beat. You know how you see them whenever they're dancing? That's how we are often in life, that when we're trying to do things and we are not in rhythm, we're not in step, that we're not really going with a flow, that we just out here just doing this, doing that, picking this up, and we haven't really fully achieved anything. We haven't fully accomplished anything because we're out of rhythm. And so I want you to start thinking about, for you, of how you can begin to start getting to a place of rhythm so you won't feel so overwhelmed, so you won't feel so stressed, so you won't feel like I have got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. But what truly do you need to put your energy to at the moment? What is it that you can really start looking for yourself on how I can begin to start managing my time more effectively and being more efficient and not just be at a place of just doing, not being at a place where I feel like I got to be at this place all the time, that I got to feel like I got to stretch myself thin. And that goes on to number two, because this was one thing that I had to really learn for myself, because as being an independent woman, I was a woman who felt like I needed to handle it all. I'm stressed out, I'm overwhelmed, but I felt like I needed to have it all. So I have my cape on, right? I felt like that I had to do everything, and it was hard for me to ask for help until it got to the point where you're overwhelmed, you're stressed out, you're snapping. Okay, now you realize, okay, it is okay. So number two, you have to release the need to control everything. Be willing to delegate and take off that cape and set the appropriate boundaries. Listen, Jesus even set boundaries. I know sometimes when they talk about God and the things that he did, which he did great things, great miracles, but he also was great at setting boundaries. He set boundaries for his life. He had moments of solitude. He had people in his circle who he knew was in his inner circle. And even in the inner circle, he had the inner of the inner circle. So he set appropriate boundaries. So you have to start thinking about yourself. Philippians 4, 6, and 7 reminds us It reminds us to not worry about everything, but in our prayer time and supplication that we make our requests known to God. And then when we make those requests known, we have to be solid in knowing that God will answer us. Because what we will do is we try to help out God and we be little gods for people. We will be that one that they can call on as opposed to people, praying. We'll go and do what we need to do, knowing that we're stressed out. We're doing these things, not saying that we're not going to help people, not saying that we're going to have those moments, but we have to know that sometimes we have to release those things, not allow ourselves to get caught up with worrying about how things are going to work out. We can't get ourselves caught up. We have to handle what we can handle today and let tomorrow worry about itself. We have to remember in Matthew 6:33 reminds us that we first seek God and all of his righteousness, and then all these things will be added to us. And sometimes we get our minds so distracted with so many other things that does not even really that we need to be worried about. We can't handle it, but we worried about it. We can't change it right now, so we worried about it. So we're trying to fix something that is really out of our control, but we feel that need. We in a tug of war. Many of us are in that tug of war with God. Like, I gave it to you, but I'm going to give it back. I gave it to you, but I'm going to give it back. I gave it to you, but I'm going to give it back. But do you really truly trust? Do you really trust that things will really work out in your favor and your behalf? Yes, I can do some things, but there are some things that I have in my mind space that's distracting me. When I talk about in my book of liberating yourself from distractions, it doesn't mean that the distractions are not going to come. It doesn't mean that your boss is going to say something that's going to make you mad or make you feel some type of way that day. It doesn't mean that someone on your team is not going to do something that you're going to get that email. You're going to say, oh, okay, I got to kind of get back. It doesn't mean that conflict is not going to arise or you're going to deal with financial issues. It did not say that the distractions will not come. But what you have to do, you have to liberate yourself from it and not be at a place where it has you bound, but you are managing it. That is what's key. So when I talk about releasing that need to control, many of us are trying to control so many things that are really truly out of our control. And then after we go in, we mess it up. Then we go to God and say, oh, I'm so sorry. Can you fix this? Or we get frustrated because we're trying to do too much. I call it team too much. Doing team too much. You know how that team is. The one that has to be in everything, the one that's trying to solve everyone's problem, the one that is the listener for everyone, the one that's the problem solver, the one that's already stepping in, the one that's always feel like I got to have this thing figured out. That is called being team too much. I want you to get off that team. I want you to be able to release that thing. When I said first, knowing what your energy requires, and then I have to take off that cape. Even Clark Kent knew when to take that cape off. He knew, okay, this right here is too much. I cannot handle all of this. And I remember even at my job one time, this when I was a clinical director at this job, and I was doing about five. By the time I left that job, they had to get about 5 people to do my one position because I was a clinical director and leading various teams. I was doing partial hospitalization programs. I was doing groups. I was doing individual therapy. And I was doing intensive in-home therapy services in the evening with the teens. And then I was also doing some case management as well. So I was doing about 5 roles in my one position. And it was hard for me to ask for help because I knew how I felt about my clients. I wanted to make sure they were taken care of. A lot of them depended upon me. But then when it got to the point, I started feeling like for me, that if I was to leave this job, what would really happen to me? But what I really realized is that company is still going today. I have not been at that company since 2010, and this is 2025, and that company is still flowing. Yes, they had to hire other people, but I was stressing myself out on the factor of I was so important that I was not replaceable, that I was stressing myself out of doing so much that it was hard for me to delegate. So now I'm overstressed, I'm overwhelmed, and then I'm not able to give effectively, not just to myself, not to my family, but even to my clients because I was constantly stressed. Learning that scripture of really releasing that weight, releasing that worry, releasing that point, that was a task. But once you're able to release that and liberate yourself and allow your mind space to say, okay, I'm going to fill my mind up with positivity. I'm going to fill my mind up with this, as opposed to allowing my mind and my spirit to be constantly flooded with what I have to do, or having that point of feeling needed. Because sometimes we have that point when we give so much to people that we don't know anything else other than what we do for other people. So when they don't need us anymore, that's why many times people deal with parents, they deal with empty nest syndrome because they are constantly needing and giving to so many people. So what do I do now? But when you find that security within yourself that I can give, I can delegate, that I have to know that I am replaceable, that it is okay. Yes, I am important, but as me being this important factor, if I'm able to delegate and give to people some other things, then that helps me as a leader to be able to be more effective. So I can give the energy needed to what I need to give to. So I can show up for my family when I be able to need to. So my mind, that when we having dinner at the table, that it's not so much of going on of what I have to do, running in my mind of tasks that I have to do and trying to get to the next. Always getting to the next, always in that hustle. Now I'm in a place of rhythm. Now I'm in a place of rhythm. So now we talked about shifting from the hustle mode to a rhythm mode. We talked about releasing the need to control everything. Now we're going to talk about a 3-point reset of pause, prioritize, and now we're going to proceed. So what does that mean, Michelle? That means you take a breath, you're going to pause, then you're going to prioritize. Okay, where's my energy going here? What matters to me? And then I'm going to proceed. I cannot allow myself to respond in emotions. I cannot allow myself to, when I feel overwhelmed, that I'm just going to react, because sometimes we start thinking about just reacting. But I want you to start thinking about when that email comes in and you see it and you know you want to hit all caps and hit that thing and be like, and hit it. No, I want to be able to say, okay, you know what? Let me take a breather here. Let me pause for about 15 seconds. Even have to set my phone to have a moment of pausing. And then I'm going to kind of process this thing. And then I'm going to proceed of what it is, where is my energy, how I'm going to respond. I'm not going to allow myself to just be reacting to certain things. I'm going to allow myself to pause and prioritize what is really needed for today. There are many times that I make out my schedule for the week. And if I'm able to get it done that day, whatever is a priority, I'm going to make sure that it gets done. So that may be days that I may be up later trying to get things done. But if I can take those things on throughout the week, that is okay. It is okay. I want you to start thinking about not so much as what you didn't get done, but look at what you did get done. Because sometimes we want to look at the whole bigger picture, but I want you to start celebrating those small steps that you have made, those things that you have done. So I have to allow myself to take a moment to pause, to take a moment to allow myself to get that reset and to prioritize where is my energy really going. And then now I can look at proceeding on. So I don't have to be overwhelmed. So whenever those days are that I'm feeling more tired and I feel like I'm getting off this momentum. These are 3 things that you can start looking at. Okay, where have I gotten off rhythm? Because I have gotten off rhythm because I'm not feeling this energy like I did. Okay, so now that I'm not feeling this much energy like I did, how I can begin to start delegating and not feel this need and kind of let other people and allow myself, because many times when people are the strong ones, people will say all the time, I see many times on social media to check on the strong ones. But us as the strong ones, we have to also allow ourselves to ask for help and to receive the help, because we'll say, I'm all right. Oh, I'm good. When we know that we truly aren't good. We know that things truly aren't right. So we need to be able to allow ourselves to not only ask for help, but to also allow for us to receive help. So take these tips on today so you can build that momentum, so you can begin to walk with clarity. You can begin to start saying, okay, I'm going to start doing this reset so I can begin to start strategizing, so I can begin to walk at a greater level like never before. So if you would like to continually connect, I would like to invite for you to take this test today. It's called the Stress and Burnout Decoder, where it's going to see where you are. You're going to assess, okay, where is my stress management level? Where am I? And I will also connect with you to begin to start sending tips on how you can begin to manage your stress, how you can begin to walk this thing out effectively, and how you can begin to walk in purpose. Also, I have recently released the Clarity Code Blueprint. Unlock the leader within you, because when you begin to get that clarity code, it talks about 7 pillars of how you can begin to walk with your purpose and how you can master all the distractions that we deal with in life, so you can continually walk in a purpose like never before. So I am looking forward to the next level that is in your life. I am looking forward for you going to this next dimension like never before, where you're walking out with clarity, you're walking out with purpose, that you are walking out, waking up, that the momentum is continually going. The people that you are led to lead and you're called to, that you're having this energy, that you're walking out and you're saying, okay, I'm going to delegate this thing today. I'm going to pause. I'm going to prioritize, and then I'm going to proceed on going forward. So welcome to this new you. Walk this thing out. Take the assessment if you haven't today. Also, purchase my book if you have not been able to. And I just can't wait to see how you begin to walk out and unlock that true leader within you. So I look forward to connecting with you. And as always, that I always end my video and say, walk in purpose.